Hey there, lovely listeners. It's Red from Red Hunt, bringing you the juiciest and most thrilling relationship stories from Reddit. So grab your popcorn and get ready to dive into the drama-filled world of love and everything in between. Let's get started. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and join our Red Hunt community for more captivating content. Don't believe my allergies? Fine, I'll prove it. I am a 13-year-old with a condition called cold urticaria, which means I am allergic to cold temperatures. When the temperature drops below 55 degrees Fahrenheit, my skin gets red, develops itchy hives, and feels as if I've been scalded with boiling water. Earlier this week it snowed on Wednesday while I was waiting at my school building for carpool. I ran into Z, one of the 4th grade teachers who also helps with middle school lunch. Z is known for being one of the stricter teachers at school. She noticed that my friend and I were inside and questioned why we weren't waiting in the front of the building. There's a room in the front where kids can sit while waiting to be picked up, but it lacks heating. I explained to her that I am allergic to the cold, but she dismissed it, saying she doesn't like the cold either. She didn't believe me. The next day, Z was on lunch duty and forced me and my friend to go outside. I decided to prove to her that I was telling the truth, even if it meant enduring extreme pain. I rolled up my left sleeve and repeatedly covered my arm in snow, keeping it exposed during the entire 20-minute recess. By the end, it was excruciatingly painful. I went back upstairs to the computer lab for coding and informed her that I would return shortly. Strangely, she didn't object, most likely because of the state of my arm. As I descended the stairs, my arm went numb, so I couldn't feel the pain anymore. I stopped Z in the hallway and showed her my arm. At that point, it was at its worst and would start to calm down within the next 5 minutes, resembling a swarm of hornets attacking my left arm. The expression on her face was a combination of shock, horror, and confusion, which was absolutely priceless. I explained to her that this is what happens when I'm exposed to the cold. She asked how long it would last, sounding panicked. I reassured her that it would go away after an hour. She inquired if anything could help alleviate it, and I mentioned that Benadryl works, but it wasn't severe enough for her to worry. I'm unsure if she was shocked because it could have been worse, or if she was surprised by how composed I was despite the condition of my arm. She insisted that we should go to the office to see if they had any Benadryl, and if not, she had some in her locker. I declined and went back upstairs. My arm remained non-functional throughout the entire coding class. The following day, Z removed me from mentorship and stated that she would find a place for me to go if the weather was too cold. This was strange, considering she usually has a strict, no exceptions policy. Man, Z seriously didn't believe OP when they explained their cold urticaria. But kudos to OP for proving their point by subjecting their arm to snow. Z's shocked face was priceless, and now she's actually trying to help out. How do I tell my son the real reason my sister gave him up and wants nothing to do with him? Hi, this situation is really bothering me, and I would appreciate any suggestions. My husband recommended that I post here. I came from a family that held racist beliefs, and I was always the outsider in my family because I didn't agree with their racist views. I frequently got in trouble for making friends outside of my race, and I was disowned for dating my now husband. For 5 years, I had no contact with my family until my sister, 40, showed up at my house. She was very upset because she had attended a party, got drunk, and became pregnant by a man from a different race. She was terrified of how our parents would react. My husband and I took her in. She lied to our parents and told them she found a job in my city and was living with friends. She didn't want to have an abortion, but she struggled with being around my husband initially and made some offensive comments. I warned her that if she continued with her racism, she would have to go back to our parents' house because I would not tolerate it. She realized that she had to be nice to my husband if she wanted to stay, so she kept her distance and refrained from making any more comments. I was with her when she gave birth to my son. It was clear that he was of mixed race. She didn't even want to hold or feed him. She was distant and disconnected from him. She even told me straight out that she didn't want him and wished she had aborted him, using a racist slur against him. I was shocked and speechless. Who could say something like that about an innocent and beautiful baby? I went home upset and my husband asked me what was wrong. I shared the story with him, and he remained quiet. The next day he asked me if we should adopt the baby so that he would have a real family connection. I agreed with him. I went to the hospital and asked my sister if I could adopt him. I fully expected her to refuse, but surprisingly, she agreed on the condition that our parents never find out and that he never learns about her. I accepted the conditions. My husband and I officially adopted our son, and after that my sister left, and I haven't seen or heard from her since. Obviously, my son knows that my husband and I are not his biological parents. When he was 12 years old, he asked why he didn't resemble us. We sat him down and told him a partial truth. My son is sensitive, and I didn't want to hurt him by telling him the complete truth. He accepted the explanation. He also knew that I had no contact with my family due to their racist beliefs, and I hoped that he would understand this as he got older. Unfortunately, he didn't pick up on this. Which brings us to 5 days ago when my son announced that he wanted to talk to my sister. He said he wanted to know about his biological father. He asked for her contact information, and I told him I couldn't provide that. He became upset and argued that he had a right to know. I started crying because all I could think about was my sister using a racist slur against him when he was a baby. He left, and my husband came home early from work because my son was also upset with him. My husband suggested that it's probably time to tell him the complete truth. I didn't want to. I don't want to hurt my son. My husband acknowledged that, as his mother, I wanted to protect him, but he believed that it's the right thing to do. Now we are struggling with how to tell him the whole truth. Does anyone have any suggestions? I'm really sorry you're going through this. It sounds like a difficult situation. Maybe you can consider having an open, honest conversation with your son about his biological father and why your sister made the choices she did. It might be helpful to emphasize that your love for him is unconditional and that you're there to support him no matter what. Am I the antagonist for not including my best friend's stepkids when I take her biological daughter out for fun? I am a 25-year-old female and my best friend, also 25 years old, and I have been close since preschool. Despite taking different paths in life and living 6 hours away from each other now, we still communicate almost daily and make sure to see each other at least once a month. When my best friend got pregnant at 17, I developed a deep love for her daughter, who is now 7 years old. Our bond is incredibly strong, and she even jokingly refers to me as her other mom. However, my friend has a tendency to prioritize men over her daughter, which I strongly disagree with. She becomes infatuated with new relationships and quickly encourages her daughter to address her partners as dad, without considering the possibility of the relationship not working out. This has happened 4 times already, and she is currently expecting a child with her latest boyfriend, whom she has been dating for about 6 months. This boyfriend has 4 other children, aged 3 to 9 years old, with a distant relative of my friend's. Furthermore, he is technically still married to that woman, which is why I was unsupportive of their relationship from the beginning. Nevertheless, I have chosen to keep my opinions to myself now that she is pregnant. Since her daughter was 3 years old, I have been taking her on an annual special trip to places like Disneyland, the beach, and the lake. Additionally, I have been arranging occasional outings for her, such as hikes, arcade visits, fishing trips, and meals at the restaurant of her choice, at least every other month. It has been important to me to provide consistent support in her life and to offer her individual attention, as her home life can become chaotic at times. Recently, my friend has been hinting that I should also take her other children along on these outings. While I have nothing against her stepchildren, I am hesitant to form attachments with them if they may not be a part of her life for the long term. Moreover, all 5 children still require some form of car seat. Even if I were to only take the older 4 kids, ages 7 to 9, I would have to place a car seat in the front seat with me, which is unsafe and possibly even illegal. Additionally, taking care of 4 young children on my own would be a huge responsibility, and I would struggle to afford activities like arcade tokens and movie tickets for all of them. Thus far, I have managed to ignore the hints my friend has been dropping, but I fear that she will eventually become more direct. While I prefer to only take her daughter with me, I do not wish to offend her. Other friends whom I have confided in about this situation believe that I should either include all the kids or none at all. They argue that what I have been doing is completely wrong. My primary concern is doing what is best for this little girl. However, I am unsure if I would be in the wrong for not scaling back on activities to include all the kids. It's understandable that you want to maintain your special bond with your best friend's daughter and provide her with consistent love and attention. It's important to prioritize her well-being and not feel pressured to include the other kids if it's not feasible or if it could potentially compromise their safety. Am I the antagonist for refusing to help my BF's mother? I, 28 years old female, have been with my boyfriend, 32 years old male, for almost 5 years, living together since the first lockdown. His mother, 71 years old female, never liked me, mainly due to issues with my parents and background, my height, and my line of work. I don't really have a relationship with her because she has been mean to me. I tried at first but gave up because the insults never stopped. Last year, her long-term partner died and his kids kicked her out of his house about a month ago. I own a very small studio apartment that my parents bought me when I was going to university. A tenant lives there now, and a 3-bedroom house where my boyfriend and I live now. Again, my parents helped me buy the house by giving me around 45% of the down payment. My boyfriend contributed nothing, and I did not ask him to. His mom is temporarily living at her sister's and is increasingly unhappy about not having her own space. She can't afford to move anywhere on her own. Without consulting me, my boyfriend brought up my apartment to her and implied she could move in there. When he told me about it, I said absolutely not. First, I'm not kicking out a good tenant. Second, she's been mean to me. Third, my parents, whom she has been bad-mouthing, paid for that apartment so that I could have a head start in life, not for his mother to have a comfortable retirement. He asked if he could at least pay a deposit for an apartment and I said no. His mother is his problem. I saw text messages where she calls me a bitch, and there's no way I'm helping someone who's been this mean to me. We had a huge fight, and he said I'm spoiled, selfish, and this is why he didn't want to marry me in the first place. I did bring up marriage some time ago, and he did not give me a straight answer at the time. Now, I don't think I'm selfish or spoiled. My boyfriend has been living at my place rent-free for nearly 4 years. I also gave him around €5,000 when he was buying a car, and he never returned the money. We earn a very similar amount of money, which is above our country's average, yet he has no savings while I have a lot. He could have saved tons of money while living at my place rent-free, but instead he took up expensive hobbies and bought his dream car. On the other hand, I am very frugal, and even my own car is worth less than what I contributed to his car. My boyfriend's cousin, who is also my friend, told me I'm being a bit of an asshole and should help his mom since she's old and has nobody else. They argue that her being mean is just her nature and she can't help it. I do agree that I could easily help her, but it's not true that she has nobody else. She has 2 kids of her own. Her daughter is not in contact with her, and if she needs my help so badly, the least she could do is apologize for being rude to me and ask for it herself. So am I the asshole? It's completely understandable that you don't want your BF's mean mother living in the apartment that your parents bought for you. It's your property and your decision, and if she wants help, she should apologize and ask for it herself, instead of relying on your BF to do it for her. Husband upset over wedding ring purchase. We got married quickly, only being together for a total of 1.5 years, but it just felt right. He proposed to me in June 2023 with a lovely engagement ring while we were on holiday in Thailand. At that time, he let me know that he doesn't have money for a wedding yet, but we will figure everything out along the way. We were happy. In September 2023, we decided to get married at the courthouse. If we had money, we would have had a wedding right then and there. However, signing our marriage papers felt cute and we felt ready. It also helped his situation since he was on a working visa and we were applying for a partnership visa. It's less complicated if you're married on paper. We planned to have a small wedding ceremony this year, but unexpected expenses came up and money became tight. However, I told him that saving money and reducing stress in our current situation is more important to me than the wedding and the whole white dress thing. So we agreed to plan it for next year instead. My only request was that we have wedding bands. Since our marriage date, which was 4 months ago now, I have brought up getting rings 3 times. Each time he seemed unbothered about it and mentioned that they do things differently in his culture, so he's not sure how to go about it. He also mentioned that we don't have money. I made it clear that I didn't want expensive rings, and I knew exactly the style I wanted, which would cost a maximum of $300 from various jewelers. He told me he doesn't care about the style of his ring and I can choose it for him. However, we never made plans to go shopping for the rings. The last time I brought it up, we agreed to make a plan to go and shop for them. During that conversation, I expressed that I felt like he didn't even want to wear a ring because he didn't seem excited. He reassured me that it wasn't the case, but rather because he didn't know much about it due to his cultural background. So we planned on how to do it, and he suggested it would be cute if I bought his ring, and he bought mine when we went shopping. I liked the idea. He said, if it's important to you, then whenever we are free, just take me to the shop since you don't know my ring size, and let's do it. If you're happy, I'm happy. Fast forward to today. We had a lovely lunch date and day, and on our way through the shopping mall, we saw a jewelry shop, which happened to be one of the cheaper ones. So I asked him if he wanted to shop for our rings, and he said yes. We tried on a cute style that he liked, and we found one that I liked too, but it had to be special ordered to be resized since my hands are tiny. I was very happy with mine as it was under $300 and exactly the style I desired. It looked even better against my engagement ring. I told him I wanted this ring and asked if he was happy with his choice or if he wanted to shop around more. He replied, yeah, whatever you think. I'm happy with this one if you are. I like the style. I agreed as it looked really nice on him and even better than what I had initially envisioned for him. We asked the cashier to let us pay for each other's rings as it was the cute idea we had decided on. I paid for his ring with my card, and then he handed me cash for mine and walked out of the store, waiting for me at the front. I immediately sensed that something was wrong. So when we got to the car, I asked him what was bothering him. That's when he started crying heavily and said that the ring didn't have a good meaning because mine had to be resized from another place. He also mentioned that he felt like I was happy, so he didn't want to say anything even when I asked if he was happy. He stated that I should have just known that he wasn't happy. While crying and slightly yelling, he said, "What are you doing, girl? This is a very important thing. Why don't you know? You don't know anything." At this point, all I could respond with was, "I'm so sorry. Sorry. I didn't know this was so important to you because you told me it wasn't, so I had no idea. I never wanted to upset you, etc." I asked him why he didn't tell me that he wasn't happy with the purchase when I asked him at the store, but he kept repeating, "How can you not know?" So, calmly I told him, "Okay, I'm sorry. I'm going back inside the store to return them. Just wait here for a minute." I walked through the shop, tearing up, and asked the lady to return the rings because he wasn't feeling good about it. I went to the bathroom to have a quick confused cry before heading back to the car. I asked him if he was okay and apologized again, telling him that I got the rings refunded. He simply replied, "Yeah, we'll do it again when we are ready. I don't want to talk. Let's go home." So basically, I'm extremely confused. First, I feel horrible for hurting his feelings. Second, his emotional outburst caught me completely by surprise. Third, I feel a little unfairly treated because I bought the rings based on the conditions we agreed upon. And lastly, we're back to square one with no plan for having wedding rings. Also, we have both been distant and disconnected for the rest of the evening. I don't even know where to go from this point. It feels like there's an unresolved issue in the room, but I don't want to bring it up again right now. It seems like there was a miscommunication between you and your husband about the importance of wedding rings. It's important to have an open and honest conversation about your feelings and expectations regarding this issue, and find a compromise that works for both of you. Maybe consider seeking couples therapy to help facilitate the discussion and address any underlying issues. Neighbors wouldn't quit dumping their trash in my backyard, so I returned it. I reside in a house adjacent to an apartment complex situated right behind my backyard fence. Throughout my time here, I have consistently encountered the unpleasant occurrence of random garbage being thrown over the fence, a situation that has gradually worsened over time. The most bothersome part is the presence of shattered glass beer bottles, resulting in a potential safety hazard that prevents me from allowing my dog to freely roam the yard. This thoughtless and inconsiderate behavior from unfamiliar individuals frustrated me to the point where I decided to take action. Initially, I attempted the legal route by reporting the illegal dumping to the appropriate authorities, referred to as 311. Unfortunately, I was unable to directly contact the building manager, and since the trash ended up in my yard, I was informed that I would be responsible for its disposal. Although this was annoying, it was essentially a green light for me to retaliate by throwing the trash back over the fence, as clarified by 311. Armed with gloves, I meticulously returned every single piece of trash to its rightful place, including full trash bags, soiled footwear, beer bottles, and used diapers. It is astonishing that these individuals view my yard as their personal dumping ground. And what adds to my frustration is that it's not just one neighbor perpetuating this behavior. I managed to capture several residents of the apartment complex on camera carelessly tossing trash over the fence. To my dismay, not even a full day had passed before these individuals boldly returned all the trash to my yard. The audacity of their actions. This went beyond mere laziness, since it would have been significantly easier for them to dispose of the trash in their own apartment complex dumpsters. However, they appeared to feel entitled to dispose of their trash into my yard, to the extent that they even returned it after I threw it back. Fair enough, I thought. If they wanted to play this game, then I would too. Initially, I threw all the full trash bags back over, but this time, I aimed higher. I launched them onto the roof of the apartment complex, an area that is not easily accessible and is far from ideal, particularly in our tropical climate, where it would quickly emit a foul smell. Additionally, I collected all the soiled footwear, laced their laces together, and used a long pole to hang them from various projections on the sides of the building, making them unattainable. I also filled them with spoiled meat and dog excrement. Although I initially considered shattering the beer bottles, I opted to recycle them instead, as I had no intention of causing harm to anyone. You would think that such actions would be enough to convey my point, but I went one step further. That night, I secretly planted a significant amount of running bamboo behind the fence. This area between the apartments and my fence, which is currently covered in grass, should eventually become impassable due to the bamboo's rapid growth. Removing bamboo once it takes hold is a difficult task. This is the result of behaving irresponsibly. I harbor no regrets whatsoever regarding my retaliatory actions. That is some next-level revenge. Good on you for standing up for yourself and trying different tactics. Hopefully, the bamboo does its job and puts an end to the trash invasion once and for all. Thanks for watching. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications so you never miss a video. To finish listening to all the stories, check out the playlist in the description.